All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division, where a Hall of Fame level fighter, former champion, has a message for Terence Crawford, and that is, man, look, you really can't get out of fighting this kid, Jaron Ennis. That if you're not going to rematch Spence Jr., that's what you got to do. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division, where questions abound about who Terence Crawford is going to fight next, and who Jaron Ennis will be fighting next. The two people that are roundly considered at this point in time to be the best welterweights in the world. And Antonio Tarver gives his 2 cents. And this is a guy that is one of the best light heavyweights to fight this century. I don't think he's the top, maybe not even be the top 3, but definitely one of them. Excellent fighter, a guy that had beat Roy, I do believe he knocked out Roy Jones Jr. Knocked out Roy Jones Jr. In the early 2000s, and just an excellent fighter, excellent commentator on boxing, and somebody that is a really big fan of Terence Crawford. Delivers a message to him. And I think that this is 100% correct, and I'm pushing for it. But before I get into it, let me welcome you back. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber and a supporter of the channel, thank you so much for watching the video. Please share the video, and thank you to everybody that supports and the super thanks of videos like this. It's a great way to sponsor YouTube channels that you enjoy and want to continue to make the content. All right, so I get a lot of sweat about this, but I'm going to continue to do it because I just think it's the truth. If Terence Crawford is not going to fight Spence Jr., then I believe that he needs to fight Jaron Ennis. Now, I understand where people say, hey, Canelo's a bigger money fight and all of that. And I understand that. Wouldn't hold it against Terence Crawford at all if Canelo Alvarez gave him the fight and he took it. But I agree with Antonio Tarver, who said, look, man, if you're going to hold on to those belts and be at 147 pounds, the guy you got to fight is Jaron Ennis. That's the best guy in the division if you're not going to fight Spence. Now, and I believe this for several reasons. Number one, that's what's expected of a champion, period. It's what's expected of the champion. I did a video about Jermell Charlo yesterday when Jermell Charlo came out on Instagram and said, hey, man, I'm MFers, I'm back, right? And then immediately I get a bunch of people telling me that he's a coward and he's a duck, he's a this, he's a that. And I think to myself, what in the world, where are you coming from with Jermell Charlo as a duck? How is Jermell Charlo a coward? What? And these are people, not just a couple people. Some of them are just wild and out there. But a couple people, you know, I think a couple of you guys have said that. I read your comments. I don't always respond. I think you guys are sensible people, right? So why? Because he dropped his belt, the WBC belt, right? And because he was stripped of the WBO belt and didn't fight Tim Tszyu primarily. Now, what did he do? He moved up and he fought Canelo Alvarez, right? He moved up 2 weight divisions, fought Canelo Alvarez, lost, dropped his belt. The WBO got stripped of the WBO, and he's a coward. So please let me understand, if Terence Crawford goes up there and fights Canelo Alvarez, shouldn't Terence Crawford also be a coward? Right? According to that logic, if he loses, he would have been a coward for not fighting Jaron Ennis. If Jermell Charlo was a coward for not fighting Tim Tszyu, but fighting Canelo Alvarez. It's an undisputed champion that moved up to fight Canelo Alvarez. Terence Crawford will be an undisputed champion that moved up to fight Canelo Alvarez. And they both would have gotten stripped. So what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Are you a coward because is Jermell a coward because he lost? But he would have been brave if he won? So you see what I'm saying? But the reason I bring it up related to this is related to the topic of Jaron Ennis and why Terence Crawford should fight him is because it's the duty of Jermell Charlo. It was the duty of Jermell Charlo to fight Tim Tszyu. Nobody can argue with that, right? But if he comes back and he fights Tim Tszyu, still not going to get rid of the stigma that he got what people have been saying about him. But, or at least I don't think it would. But Terence Crawford, if he can't get that particular fight with Canelo, then you got to fight Jaron Ennis. Because if you fight somebody else that's not Errol Spence because you're contractually obligated to do it, you don't have any excuse. At least not with the logic that's being used on Jermell Charlo, which is the exact same situation. Exact same situation. So that the duty of a champion is to fight people in the division in which he's the champion and to defend that against the top guys. If you have another champion in your division, then you should fight that other champion in your division, period. And if Terence Crawford, and even if Terence Crawford didn't have the IBF title stripped from him and given to Jaron Ennis would still be as mandatory. So as an undisputed champion, you still have the responsibility of fighting the mandatories that you have. At least that's the way that when I watched boxing. I mean, I've been watching boxing my entire life since I was a little kid. That's the way that it was always supposed to be done. And that's for the most part, how it was done. Now, obviously it didn't happen every single solitary time. And I'm not saying that you can't go get the money because honestly, who could possibly blame Jermell Charlo for going to get the money? Right? And who could complain about Terence Crawford going to get the money? But again, if that doesn't happen, then Jaron Ennis is the guy. Now, other people say, and by the way, Antonio Tarver said that dude is ready. And Roy Jones Jr. said that dude is ready. These ideas that people need to be 100% ready before they can fight somebody is only really used when you're talking about exceptional talents. So, and let me tell you what I mean by that. If Jaron Ennis, David Avenetian had never beaten or fought anybody like Terence Crawford, he was nowhere near ready. But many people didn't have a problem with him fighting David Avenetian. Same thing could be said of several fighters, Julius Ndungo. Same thing could be said of several fighters, Igis Kalvanakis. None of those guys were prepared for Terence Crawford. He still fought him. So why should we care if Jaron Ennis is ready or not? You know what they said in The Kid is like when you're playing hide and seek, ready or not, here I come. That's what it is, man. Jaron may never be ready for Terence Crawford. But then again, he may be ready for Terence Crawford and he may be better than Terence Crawford. We will never know until we actually see it. And that is a duty of a champion. And again, if he's not going to fight Errol Spence Jr., I agree with Antonio Tarver. It's Jaron Ennis. But I also understand if he goes to fight Canelo Alvarez, I'm not going to hold it against him because he's going for the money. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.